Who is behind Pepe, one of the most hype meme coins of all time? This is Sasha with Arcanum Ventures, and today we're going to try and answer that question using on-chain data analytics. Picking up from our last video, we took a look at the early on-chain transaction data and saw soon after the entire token supply of Pepe was minted, 93% of the tokens were sent to the LP, just like the website said. What surprised us is that immediately after that happened, there were a large number of buy transactions that came through, all around 0.5% of the total token supply, all within a very short time span. One of the things that surprised us the most is that when looking deeper into this on-chain data, we saw that a lot of these wallets performing these buy transactions were brand new with no previous transaction history. This was a first little bit of evidence that gave us an impression that this may have been a coordinated insider effort to scoop up a large portion of the token supply immediately after provisioning into the LP to sell at a later date for a large gain once Pepe gained some hype and speculation behind it. We took a look at the price history for Pepe and matched them up with the token transactions we saw, and we uncovered that each wallet, these new undoxed wallets, 57 of them that we scanned through on first pass, spent roughly $50 for their Pepe buy and later sold for a profit of close to $250,000 each. One individual or many individuals in a coordinated effort potentially walked away with over $10 million in 1 week time span. One of the things we wanted to look at in this video is who might this individual be. We want to start creating a character profile for these insiders based on what we see on chain, the transactions that we see in their wallet history, and what other assets they might be transacting with. The first thing we need to do, however, is continue verifying coordination. You might be asking yourself, if these wallets are brand new and Pepe was their first buy, how could they execute that buy? If there's no currency in the wallet, if there's no value or money to purchase Pepe tokens with, how did it happen? It's a great point. It didn't happen. There must be some funding transaction to send ETH to these wallets in order for these individuals to buy Pepe in the first place. So funding wallets is a great way of diving one level deeper into our on-chain investigation and seeing if there's any more evidence of coordination. We'll go ahead and take one transaction as an example. Let's say this one, number 45 on the blockchain. We'll go to Etherscan and put that in. You can see I've got this up already. It's this wallet address. And verifying that this is in fact an insider transaction wallet, we can see here that on April 14th, roughly around 8:00 p.m. GMT, the first transaction in their history is the buy of Pepe. This timestamp is a good starting point in understanding that there might be a funding transaction before it. So what we need to do is go back to the ETH transactions here and use that as a basis. We do see on April 14th, in fact, it looks like just 20 minutes beforehand, 30 minutes beforehand, some ETH did come into this wallet as the very first transaction. 0.06 ETH came into this wallet 20 minutes before the Pepe buy from Fixed Float. For those of you that are unfamiliar with some of these protocols in Ethereum blockchain, Fixed Float is somewhat of a non-custodial, centralized or decentralized exchange that allows some additional flexibility in transactions for users to execute from one wallet and then receive currency in another wallet. This may be a protocol that these insiders used, or this insider in particular used, to create a mask or curtain over the funding transaction, sort of trying to hide the paper trail from where the ETH came from. What I ended up doing is taking all of these different wallet addresses that we've compiled here, all of these new wallet addresses, and I fed them into a transaction behavior workbook that we had created previously. This is a workbook that enables us to pull up a large number of transactions across a number of different wallets at the same time and filter through them for a particular asset. I've got all these wallets loaded up in this workbook, and I'm able to filter through them specifically by ETH, which is the primary funding asset for these wallets. As you can see here, this workbook that uses a number of different on-chain API integrations tells me the number of transactions going in and out of each individual wallet for ETH. It also provides me a nice summary of the in and out volume for these groups of wallets. But more importantly, it pulls up the raw transaction data. I took this data and I brought it back over into our original workbook. I was able to see exactly the Ethereum flow for each wallet and correspond it back to a number of funding wallets. I then compiled them back here in the original dashboard. As you can see, it's quite surprising. Again, we've got 57 original wallets that bought up Pepe during that golden hour, and all of which were funded by one of 8 original sources. There are 8 funding wallets here sending ETH to all of these wallets. And what's even more surprising, if you dive deeper into the data, all of these funding transactions happened within a 2-hour window before Pepe was loaded into the LP. We can see here, based on the Etherscan designation, 13 wallets were funded by the fixed float hot wallet. And again, fixed float, I explained a little bit earlier what it is, but in my personal experience, there's not a lot of people I know that use fixed float. It's kind of a less popular protocol. There are some risks associated with it, and possibly even some lack of KYC infrastructure. So it allows anyone to sort of mask their transactions. As you can see here, 32 wallets were funded by the Uniswap Universal Router. This is a kind of similar protocol that exists in the Uniswap ecosystem that allows an added level of flexibility for transactions for users. They can send cryptocurrency to the protocol by one wallet and send it out into a different receiving wallet. This might be another method of masking transactions or paper trails that whoever coordinated these buys used. So we've got the majority of wallets here, these new transaction, new wallets with no transaction history being funded by single sources. And these are 2 additional bits of evidence that tell us this may be a coordinated effort from insiders that created the Pepe token. What's even more interesting is that we see a couple of ENS designations here. ENS refers to Ethereum Naming Service, which is a service that allows you to assign an identity to a wallet on Ethereum so that it's not just a string of numbers and characters, it's an actual name. And you can see here, beautifulbabbies.eth is one of them, and dancebabbydance.eth is another one. It's kind of weird names. But this is another piece of evidence that we can use to say that there was some sort of coordinated effort, because the names are similar in the sense that they have babbies here, which is a misspelling of babies. So this tells us that whoever owns these 2 wallets, or different individuals that owns these 2 wallets, are part of the coordinated effort of funding these wallets in the early stages of launching the Pepe token. They might be associated with the insiders or the founders of Pepe, or they might be the insiders or founders. We can dive a little bit deeper into on-chain transaction data and understanding, let's say, who this individual dancebabbydance.eth is. We can start to look at how they operate on-chain if we assume that this individual is actually associated with the founders of Pepe or one of the founders. We can get an idea of what they're doing on-chain with their assets. Here's the resolved address Etherscan gives us. We click on that. We verify that this is in fact the right ENS domain. And then we start to look at the ERC20 token transfers. This is where the real bread and butter is. And so what we're seeing here in the transaction history, a number of different assets I've never heard of before. Judging by the number of tokens being transacted back and forth, this tells me it might also be a microcap altcoin. But I do see some tokens coming in, some tokens going out. memecoin, Bobo, Ribbit. These are additional pieces of information in helping us create a picture of who this individual that's associated with Pepe might be. We can go on crypto Twitter, we can go on Telegram, we can go on Discord to any one of these communities and start to get an idea of how these individuals interact, the kind of temperature or vibe of these communities, what other projects are people promoting in these communities. We can take a look at the value of these transactions, understand how much money is being swapped back and forth. $200, $20,000, get an idea of what kind of financial bracket these individuals might be in, or the level of financial risk they might be willing to take on board with these risky transactions. We can take a look at the distance of time between the buys and sells and understanding if they're investing in the long term or they're looking for short term swing trades, potentially very short term, which can give us an idea of them looking for pump and dump opportunities, or potentially swapping with insider information from these communities, or maybe even being associated with these projects. There's another clue here to an upcoming video that might have caught your eye, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into who these individuals are. For now, we can make some conclusions in saying that this is looking more like a coordinated insider information or insider transaction campaign for the owners or the launchers of the Pepe token. We understand that they might be interested in launching or interacting with other small altcoins that maybe didn't get as much hype as Pepe token did. But again, we have some sort of profile of who might be behind this using simple on-chain transaction data. Again, Sasha from Arcanum Ventures, thanks all for watching. Make sure you like this video if it interests you and stick around for more on-chain analytics videos coming up very soon. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into Pepe and who these individuals might be and who and other projects they might be associated with. Ciao, y'all.